You just slide like this and slide under, and you've got yourself a nice, perfect circle. Hi friends, and welcome back to Grace Company Quilting. Today we're going to be talking about TrueCut. TrueCut is a line of rotary cutters and rulers that work seamlessly together to make your quilting experience easier, safer, and more accurate. The main thing that sets TrueCut apart from other brands is the track and guide system. You can easily slide the guide on your rotary cutter into the track to keep your fingers safe and make sure you're not veering into no man's land, making your cuts even more accurate. All of our rotary cutters come with and without the guide. You can see here I have the 45mm straight cutter with a guide and without a guide. It makes it so that you can use our rotary cutters on any ruler, and you can use our rulers with any rotary cutter, whatever works best for you. Let's talk about cutters. We have our 45 to 60 and 28mm, and all of the straight cutters are magnetic. If I drop my blade for some reason, it picks right back up. So it's super easy and safe to change your blade. The My Comfort cutter is an ergonomic cutter that we offer in 3 different sizes. It makes it super easy to keep your wrist straight while you're cutting, which is great if you have any sort of arthritis or connective tissue disorder or anything that just puts a lot of stress on your body. If this position is not always comfortable for you, there's another way to hold it as well. This time we're gonna hook our index finger underneath and just put our thumb right on top. You can see that my wrist still remains straight and that tension is off my shoulder as well. And you don't have to worry if you're left-handed. It's easy to change it back and forth. If you're looking for a low-stakes way to get started with TrueCut, we recommend the Quilter's Combo. Included in the Quilter's Combo, you will get a 24.5 by 6.5 inch ruler, a 45mm My Comfort cutter, and a pack of True Grips. True Grips make it easy and simple to make sure your ruler doesn't slide around. Our square and rectangle rulers come in different sizes. Our most popular ruler is, again, that 24.5 by 6.5 inch ruler that comes in the Quilter's Combo. The next size down is going to be the 3 by 18. This guy is great when you're on the go or when you're just cutting different smaller strips, especially when you're cutting binding strips. This one is my go-to. Our last rectangle ruler that we have is the 6.5 by 12.5 inch ruler. This is your intermediate size. It's a little bit smaller than the 6.5 by 24.5, but it is a great one for, again, while you're on the go or when you're cutting different smaller rectangles or squares. For our square rulers, we have 3 different sizes. We have the 6.5, the 9.5, and the 12.5 inch ruler. We also offer 3 different triangle rulers. The first one we have here is our kite ruler. This combines the angles of the 60-degree triangle, the 90-degree triangle, and it also gives you that added bonus of the 120-degree angle on the other side. One fun thing you can make with the kite ruler is fun kites. With this one, instead of just taking the kite itself, I went ahead and cut it out in 4 different colors, just like that. And then I cut it apart using my 3 by 18 ruler and sewed it all back together to make this fun kite shape. This would give me 4 different kites that we could put together and make for a fun project. We also have our 90-degree triangle ruler, which can be great for making all sorts of different shapes, and then our 60-degree triangle ruler. This one is great for triangles and hexagons. It could be great to make a kaleidoscope quilt. I have here a quilt made by Carla. This is a kaleidoscope quilt that she made for an episode of Tuesdays with Grace. It's really nice because it highlights how easy it is to use that 90-degree triangle ruler. You can see how that cutout of the 90-degree triangle hides so nicely in that kaleidoscope block. But when you place the ruler on top, you can see exactly how it was used for her quilt. The 60-degree triangle is great for making 60-degree triangles, but it's also great for making hexagons. You can see here, I did some micro piecing and have an itty bitty little hexagon template that I made, and that was with this ruler. The other shape you can do is a traditional half hexagon. This is great for making a grandma's garden quilt even. All you do is take your 60-degree triangle ruler, line it up on that 2 1/4 inch marking, along with the 4 3/4 inch marking. Hold it down, make sure that you're sliding that guide right on the track there. Make one cut, it's nice and clean. Turn around and make the other cut. And you have an awesome, perfect half hexagon. If you wanted to just make a basic triangle, all I would do is line up my project just like this. And because my strip is gonna be 2 1/2 inches, we're just gonna do a 2 1/2 inch cut, line it up on the edge of my fabric. And again, we're just gonna cut all the way off and then all the way off. And for this one, I actually ended up with 2 triangles. If you wanted to keep cutting, all you would do is either rotate your fabric or rotate your ruler. And again, you just line it up on the edge with that 2 1/2 inch line there. It makes it really simple. And then slide your cutter on that track and you're ready to go. The 60-degree triangle ruler makes it super simple to cut continuous triangles from an easy strip of fabric. One of our most frequently asked questions when it comes to TrueCut is, why do we have holes in our rulers? The answer is simple. It's because our rulers are made with molded plastic, so they bend. It makes it really safe and easy for you, so you don't have to worry if you accidentally bend your ruler. It's gonna be okay, just don't bend it too far. The other reason is because it works seamlessly with our mats. You can see that on each of our mats, there's these little tick marks periodically throughout the mat. This makes it super easy to line up your rulers, and you can see that it makes one continuous line here. Instead of trying to find the line underneath of your ruler and realizing that you're off by 1/8 of an inch. Accuracy is important when it comes to quilting, and we want to make sure that you're going to have the best experience possible. If you're not using the lines on your mat and you're cutting just off of your fabric, it can be very simple to line up your ruler here. I'm going to make a 1 inch cut since this has that 1/2 inch margin, and you can see that my fabric makes one continuous line through the holes on my ruler. Our rectangle rulers also offer a few different angled markings. The lines on the ruler, these kind of odd angles, are particularly helpful when you're cutting on the bias. To make bias tape, you kind of have to do some funky folding, but the lines on the ruler make it very simple to line up your fabric to get those perfect 2 1/2 inch cuts. To make our bias tape, we're gonna fold up our fabric like this. We're gonna fold it back down to meet that angle so we have a fun little kite shape here. And then we're gonna fold it one more time, just like this, so that my angles meet in that corner. And now I'm ready to cut my bias tape. So I'm gonna use the 45-degree angle in conjunction with my marks here. So if I wanna cut a 2 1/2 inch strip of bias tape, I'm gonna go ahead and line up the edge of my fabric here on that 2 1/2 inch line, because remember, this is not a whole measurement, it's a half measurement because of that 1/2 inch mark there. And then I'm also gonna line up the bottom of my fabric with that 45-degree angle to create the perfect cut for my bias tape. So again, I'm gonna slide my rotary cutter into the track, making sure that that guide is nice and locked in there, and then make a cut. Now I have my long strip of bias tape. Our square rulers make it so easy to square up your blocks. I have here a couple of little half square triangle blocks that we can use to square up, and I'm gonna use my 45mm comfort cutter, and I'll show you how simple it is. I want them to be 1 1/4 inches. And now I have a perfect 1 1/4 inch half square triangle block. True Grips are my favorite tool to use to make sure that my rulers don't slide around while I'm cutting fabric. The nice part about them is they come in a donut shape. So you have large circles and then itty bitty circles to go on your points. So you can see that our rulers have a nice circular shape, so you know exactly where to put your True Grips. The best part about having True Grips installed on my rulers is that I don't have to worry about my ruler sliding around. It stays nice and stationary. Another awesome part of our TrueCut system is our mats. We offer mats in 3 different sizes, 24 by 36, 18 by 24, and the 12 by 18 mat. These guys are great. The little one is perfect for while you're on the go. I take this one personally when I'm squaring up blocks. I'll take it over to a friend's house, set it on the coffee table, square up my blocks, and I don't have to worry about lugging my big one around. But when I'm cutting fabric off the bolt, the largest mat is gonna be the best option. If you need an intermediary mat, this 18 by 24 inch mat is perfect for you. It fits in smaller spaces and you can still turn it sideways to get those long cuts when you're cutting fabric off the bolt. To go with any mat, we do recommend our TrueCut non-slip pad. It's perfect for all 3 sizes of mats. One important feature of our TrueCut mats is that they're 5-ply, double-sided, and they are self-healing. They're made out of PVC, so as you're making those cuts, it naturally heals to make sure that you get a longer life out of your mat. The 360 circle cutter allows you to cut perfect circles in several different sizes, anywhere from 2 inches to 12.5 inches with this cutter. So you just tighten it there and place my hand on top, and then I'm gonna place my other hand on top of the blue part. And this allows me to cross over my hands, which will then make that circle. So you just slide like this and slide under, and you've got yourself a nice, perfect circle. Once you have your circle, you can do lots of things with it. So let's say I wanted to make a donut. We'll put a 2-inch circle in the middle of our 6-inch circle, and then you end up with a nice donut shape. And you have 2 different circles to work with. From the other circle, you could do something as simple as making a moon shape, just like that. You can make a little orange peel. The possibilities are endless with the 360 circle cutter. In our TrueCut line, we also offer replacement blades. We have here a pack for the 360 circle cutter. We offer the 60mm blades in a 1-pack and the 28mm blades in a 2-pack. We also offer the 45mm blades in a 1-pack, a 2-pack, and a 5-pack. The blades we offer have a tri-wing design. There's 3 little wings on that blade. So when you are using these as a replacement blade for your rotary cutter, make sure that your rotary cutter uses that tri-wing design. The TrueCut system offers 2 different styles of rotary blade sharpeners. The first one we have is the linear sharpener. This one is great because you don't have to remove the blade from your cutter to be able to use it. I have a blade that's a little bit dull here. So all I'm gonna do is slide it into the sharpener just like this. And I'm gonna do that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm gonna go ahead and flip my sharpener around and then run it through the same amount of times as I did the first run through. Now I wanna do a test, and you wanna make sure that it rotates 360 degrees to check for nicks. It's already sharper and I don't have to worry about nicks. If there's a nick in your blade, toss it out. You don't wanna have to try and sharpen that because it's very difficult to sharpen out a nick, especially on a beveled edge. The other sharpener that we offer is our electric sharpener, the TrueSharp 2. And you can see that there's 2 different sharpener stones. There's the bottom stone and then that top stone right up here. When you're ready to sharpen your blade, release that guide and pull your blade out. I don't have it plugged in, so we're not gonna run it here, but it's easy to set your blade right inside and then we're gonna close it. We're gonna hold it down for 30 seconds, lift it back up. We'll use the tweezers along with the blade lifter to flip it right around just like this. Slide it back in, close it up for another 30 seconds, and your blade will be sharper. Just as before, you'll want to make sure that you perform the same test we did with the linear sharpener to be able to check for nicks in your blade. If there's a nick, again, toss it out. Don't try and sharpen out that nick. If you notice that your blade is getting dull, don't forget to stop and sharpen it right away so that you can get the longest life possible out of your blades. Thank you so much for joining us on today's overview of the TrueCut system. For additional questions and resources, head to graceframe.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Grace Company Quilting on YouTube and follow us on our social media platforms. As always, we love to see what you create with TrueCut, so don't forget to share and tag Grace Company Quilting in all of your projects. Have a great day.